So I made some rather negative videos recently, so I want to make one that's a little bit more positive. Um, and it is about school. This is about like some more or less positive experiences that I had in school a bit more recently. In fact, this was just like my last year of high school, 12th grade, where I had a Spanish class because it was like required to take like at least uh one uh foreign language class, and I chose Spanish because like it seemed the easiest and probably the most useful, because um Mexico's right there close to the United States, and in fact, I didn't know this at the time when I chose the class, but I will be moving to California, so, knowing a bit of Spanish will come in handy. I didn't actually learn a lot of Spanish because it was just Spanish 1, you know? And, like, I was the only senior in that class, I think. Or maybe, like, one of, like, two or three, maybe, I don't know. Um, but I might have been, like, the only senior, I can't remember. There weren't a lot, I know that. And I got like let me think. Yeah, I got about three different stories to tell about Spanish class. None of them really having to do with like the things we learned in there. Just, well, a little bit having to do with it, but you'll see. Anyway, so one of the things was that we had to learn like um well, it was pretty common in like the basically like later end of my school life that like we were doing things on the computer a lot, and we would like learn about Spanish through like stories that, fictional stories that were told in like different websites and stuff, like interactive stories where like it would tell you some things, and then it would ask you questions about the story that have to do with like your understanding of the Spanish language, because the stories would be like in Spanish and stuff, very easy Spanish, and they would have fictional characters in them. And this one time there was a character named Rainbow, and they had rainbow hair, and it never said their pronouns because, like, Spanish is a very gendered language, and there was no like gendered terminology used to describe this character, and their name was Rainbow, and they had rainbow hair. Like, can you say queer coded? Cause yeah, and I liked that, cause like, I mean, this character was a positive one, like a protagonist, and like even though they never explicitly said like this character's gay or this character is trans or anything of that sort, they did, have this character that I kind of, I don't know, I felt vaguely represented by it. Like, it's far from like true representation, but it was cool, and I feel like it was probably deliberate. Like, when you put all those factors together, like, because they did look pretty androgynous. Like, if I remember correctly, their hairstyle was, it was like a shorter hairstyle, but it was also rainbow, and yeah, they weren't really identifiable as male or female. So yeah, I feel like it was a way of like representing the queer community as best they could, I could be wrong, it might just be a huge coincidence, but I don't think so. And I liked it. Another time, this one's a bit funny. This one isn't really like heartwarming. In fact, it's kind of sad. It's pretty sad, but anyway, I'll just explain. So we were like learning a story. This one was like a nonfiction story, and it was about some, like, they, before they show you the story, they just show you a little thing that summarizes it, where it'll be like, you're gonna learn about this and that, and then whatever. So the thing that the little preface before the story this time, it said something like, you will be learning about children in whatever country, I can't remember, it was a Spanish speaking country, that live in garbage dumps or something like that. Like something involving garbage and like poverty and stuff. I think it was like kids that live in garbage dumps or something like that. It was really sad. And then the next sentence was something like, try to identify this and that, like, something relating to the learning. And it was like it was like dark humor to me because, like, I don't know, it was just the juxtaposition from, like, this terrible, terrible reality that these kids have to live in, and just, like, try to identify the verbs, or try to fucking, do whatever, like, this, making it about the learning. It was just so weird, the juxtaposition. It was crazy to me. It really cracked me up, but, I'm not, like, laughing at the tragedy. That's not... It's because it's so sad that it's, like, funny, because of the, I don't know, the weirdness of these two things put together. Yeah, you had to have been there. I wish I remembered it word for word. I actually saved the image, like, I screenshotted it on my computer, and I might have it on my MacBook, but as we all know, my MacBook is dead at the moment. I'm gonna get that fixed up sometime. I just haven't gotten around to it, but, yeah, so, if I had that image on my phone, I would definitely use that as the thumbnail of this video, but I don't, so I can't. But yeah, it's very, it's just so strange. And then the final story I want to tell about my Spanish class is that, when I, started learning that Spanish was so very gendered, I learned from this teacher. What was her name? Her name was Miss Summy, and she taught me that it's a very gendered language and stuff. Well, she taught the whole class, and I learned and all that. And so, this one time I sort of, like, quietly, like, went back to her desk, and I was like, hey, I'm non-binary. I don't know if you know what that means, but I just don't know how to, like, gender myself for the class, like, for the learning, because I'm non-binary and stuff. She was like, oh, that's okay, I know what that is. I have a non-binary family member, and, and I told her that I use all pronouns, so she was like, yeah, you could probably just use, like, whatever gendered language you feel like using at the time. Like, you can switch it up if you want. It's fine. I won't, like, count off anything for you doing that. So that was awesome. That was, like, really cool, because, I don't know that I've ever came out to any other teacher before, because I didn't really feel like a strong need to, but in this one class, I felt confident enough to, she seemed safe enough, and, so I took a chance. And yeah, like, when it comes to, like, my openness about my gender, it kind of varies from day to day. I mean, because my dysphoria varies from day to day, because I'm, gender fluid and stuff, so I, there's all that, but even on days where, like, I definitely feel like a very different gender than the one that people are perceiving me as, I might not say anything, because, outing yourself to people is a very intimidating thing, as you must know, and so, yeah, but I like Miss Summy, alright. I mean, I don't really like teachers in general, because I feel like, I don't know, it's just, you gotta understand where I'm coming from. Like, my entire school experience was very traumatizing, and I feel like anyone that participates in the school system as it is currently is kind of, like, doing something bad. Like, it's the same as, like, the concept of, like, ACAB, all cops are bastards. Like, even if every individual cop isn't a bad person, like, on the inside, like, they're still kind of participating in a system that's shitty. And that's how I feel about school, because we don't get to, like, decide whether or not to go to school. And all this, we have very little control over it, and it was very abusive to the students. Like, I had terrible experiences in school, so, and I don't know the solution. I don't know any, like, I don't think that I, as an individual, should have to know the solution in order to be able to criticize it, because, like, you know, we're not encouraged to think of any alternative anyway. So it's like, and also like I shouldn't be as one person, literally as one person, I shouldn't have the power to or the or be expected to have the ability to like think of a perfect solution, because like any good solution to a problem should be decided upon by like a group of people. Like it should be decided upon by the majority, not just one single individual. That's a terrible way to like run a society, you know? So, you know, you don't have to like know how to solve a problem without being allowed to criticize it. I mean, criticizing it is step one, you know? You should be allowed to make that first step. So yeah, I did enjoy Spanish class more or less. I mean, it was the first class of the day. It was the morning class, so that kind of automatically made it kind of crappy because I'd be tired and sleepy, but then again, I'd be tired and sleepy the rest of the day too, so, you know, what can you do? I think that's going to be the end of the video. There isn't much more I want to say, so just have a nice little day, you know. Keep your head high, keep your chin up, you know. It'll be alright. I love you.